I'm gonna try to get to this short and sweet for you guys. I have my model Jocelyn here, and we're going to kind of hit some really key points with balayage. Okay, so I'm gonna be hitting hairline techniques that I do, talking about Joico's Blonde Life Balayage Lightener. So I want you guys to please let me know if you have any questions as we cruise through this. My assistant got sick, so I am here managing this on my own. So I have the camera, I can see comments, I can see you guys. Hi Rachel, thank you for being here. Oh, Rachel's a great Joico educator as well, so maybe Rachel, you can help me answer any questions people might have as we're cruising through this. Joico's on here, so please ask away. I am actually kind of obsessed with Joico's Balayage Lightener. If you guys have not tried this, hold on, let me get this into the stand really quick here. If you guys have yet to try the Joico Lightener, the Balayage Lightener, I really encourage you guys to do so. I've been having so much fun doing different techniques with this lightener. It is, it's a clay-based lightener, okay? So if you haven't tried or worked with a clay-based lightener when you're doing balayage, that is key. So this one, and I usually mix my consistency because this product for me, yes, it's clay, but it's so creamy. I tend to mix mine just a 1-to-1 ratio. I like it a little on the thicker side, just kind of, you know, I just feel like I can put it in its place and it won't move. So that's one of my favorite things about it. All right, let's jump right into this. I really want to share with you guys how I'm tackling each section. And again, because we're on this live, nice and quick for you guys, because I know everybody's busy. I'm going to tackle one side, each of these panels, okay, that we're working with. So let me just talk real quick about my sectioning. Jocelyn's hair, if you can see, she's probably a natural level 7, which is that beautiful like unicorn hair that we love. However, she's got finer sections, and then in here she is super dense. So when you guys are formulating, and this goes for pretty much all lightening, rather than focusing so much, for me personally, on the timing of everything as a whole, I kind of am more thinking, how much do I really need to break through in order to get that level of lift that I want, right? So I can handle a level 5, 10 developer down here. I can move into 20 in her really dense sections. I could move back to 10 through her panels, and it's still gonna all lift and process evenly, which is what I love so much about using your developers as your tools. Okay, I'm just gonna check the comment section, you guys. Just please let me know if there's anything. Okay, awesome, Rachel's gonna help. Hi, Haley, Barbara. Hi, guys, Beverly. So glad you guys are here. I really appreciate you hanging with me on a Monday. Okay, so let's do this. We're gonna first talk about this back section, and when I balayage, I like to work back to front, which is different from how I foil. I always foil going front to back. Now, the reason that I do this is because it's just easier to keep it organized, okay? And I wanna show you what I do in this back section. She's got split down right down the middle. Doesn't matter where she parts her hair, we're going right down the center. And I'm taking a triangle shape right through here, okay? From the start of that section to the other side, this is my high point. The reason I'm doing that is it's just gonna give me more density in this back panel, so it kind of gives me a little safety unit, right? This hair is so fine through the hairline that I wanna make sure that I'm being very careful, okay, to not get any bleed spots happening through here. I'm getting a new brush and I'm going to start applying, and you guys, again, let me know if you can see how I'm doing this. So lifting, keeping nice tension. I'm gonna go all the way up on that high point, and I'm gonna drop down to right where my tension is. Then I'm going to switch, and I'm gonna kind of, sorry, trying to get not in front of the camera here, and I'm going to do that other panel, the other side. So I have two really good guides to kind of go off of as I'm doing this. Now you can kind of play with this and decide, do we want a few more high points through here, or do we want to keep everything nice and low? And I love to use this as my safety net. I'm going to go in, because this is her underside and she hasn't really had any color back through here. I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to give her a bunch of sort of high points through this section, keeping really tight tension, and I'm taking it all the way up through here, okay? And we'll kind of go in here, set a thinner one. But again, I am comfortable doing this knowing that I have a little pocket of some depth underneath, okay? So I'm not giving her just a full chunk of blonde right here. We still wanna make sure we're just very, very gently going in and feathering kind of all the way up to the top. If you get anything anywhere else you don't want it, you just slightly smudge that off. Then I'll grab my paddle. Fraymar has two different size paddles that I love working with. I'm gonna use the big one, and I'm keeping that tension right here under my hand. See if you can see that. Before I go and I move and I drop anything. Then I will take and I will press onto my board before I draw anything down. And that's just gonna help to secure that hair as I work. Okay, I feel like balayage, there's so much of it that's just about figuring out how do I hold it, where do I put my hands, where do I put my tools, all of that. And it's true, it does take a minute, right? Look how long her hair is. It's even off camera, it's so long. So I'm really taking the time to place my hands and draw that hair all the way down. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Now, in this back section, I'm only working with 10 volume on Jocelyn's hair, okay? Because I really wanna make sure that this just kind of has the time that I need as I work through the hair to lift. Okay, so I'm gonna then lift this up. Okay, I'm keeping tension on my board, and I do wanna try to hit a couple pieces under here, and I really just wanna brighten that. And the reason I wanna do that is for the when she wants to wear her hair up in a ponytail. I wanna be able to feel like I can come in here, so I'm pulling nice tension, and I'm just going to ever so slightly give her a couple little pops, and I'm gonna draw that all the way down to my original kind of, my section in here. You see where I added all the brightness? So I'm dragging that all the way down, so then I can do double side and I can saturate all the way through. Okay, and I'm gonna come up here, same thing. I'm gonna draw that straight down, and I'm just keeping very minimal product on the end of my brush. So that way, where I put my brush is where my balayage is going to go. Okay, if you get a little spot, you know, where you don't want it, just take your brush and kind of erase that back, and then we'll come through. I'm gonna re-pick up that section, and I'm gonna bring my board back up. I'm gonna make sure now I saturate all the way through that strand so that the hair underneath and on top are now both gonna be saturated. Okay, and I'll paint that all the way down and then drop ever so gently. Okay, let's see if there's any questions on that section. Hopefully that all makes sense. Hopefully you guys were able to see that. Hi, Jasmine. And then just let me know, you guys, if you're having a hard time seeing any angles, I can move things around, okay? All right, here's another one of my favorite little things I love to use is these clear, what are these? The film, that's what it's called. Clear film. I've kind of been liking these. They're a little bit easier to manage for me than the saran wrap. And there's a couple reasons, right? It's just like a lot. If I'm working with an assistant, Jocelyn, I'm gonna turn your head ever so slightly. Yep, just to there. Then it can help definitely with an assistant to kind of help me get that prepped and ready to go. But especially when I'm working by myself, because that happens, I wanna make sure that I can just grab something quickly and I can continue to move through the hair very effortlessly. All right, so we're hitting this next corner here because even though we balayage, we still have to be very mindful of what the hair looks like when it's in a ponytail, right? So I'm going to then just take a diagonal back section straight off of that hairline, but I wanna leave enough depth in there. So that section, I would say, is 1/4 inch, okay? And now on this one, what I'm gonna do is over direct the hair, and we're going to keep it back and away and then tension up, okay? So that's where I'm gonna be holding it. If I drop in here, you see how I start to get a little gap happening through there? So you really wanna keep your tension high when you're doing this. Now I start without my board in my hand. I have small hands, you guys, and so I don't wanna sit here and add any more to my wrists and to what I'm trying to achieve. Some people are really, really good at holding on to that all in one, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not good at it. not good. I think I got small hands. It's just tricky for me to hold it all. So when I want really, really good tension in here, I set my board down. And then I'm just using the edge of my bowl in order to keep that product right on the edge. A lot of people use their board. So I just use the edge of my bowl. And sometimes if I even feel like I have too much, I go back and I take less out. Okay, and I'm giving her 3 high points. This is all hairline. So I want those high points that you're gonna see in the ponytail. Okay, and as we move up the head, you'll see we take a little bit of that out and we don't do quite as much. And I'm just really placing these first before I do any of my work through the ends, okay? Hopefully you guys can see that. And then Laura taught me a great trick, Laura with Joico. If you guys have seen any of Laura's techniques in video, just like a little eraser method. You take the end of your brush and you can kind of come through and just re-separate that hair if you feel like you have it in any of the spots where you don't want to see it. Now I'm gonna go in with my board. I'll hold my board up high to start, again, because I really just wanna keep that tension and that saturation. Now I can go in and I'm gonna press right where I want to start the full saturation, and now I can adjust with my paddle, right? Because it kind of gives me like a little bit of like a glue in order to hold that. Now I can go in, I can put more product on my brush, and I'm not, now the lightener is what's helping me to kind of hold that onto my board, especially with how much hair she has, you guys. It's so long, down to her waist almost, especially when it's straightened like this. So you really got to make sure you have really good control and hold. So I'll kind of come back in here. I'm going to check to see what's happening. You see how you can actually see that this saturated all the way through on that? That's going to be so beautiful on her ponytail right here. So I'm just going in, I'm just marrying the 2 of those together, making sure that the section I was able to go front and back on, and then I'll kind of lift up. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. This one might be a little harder for you guys to see as I pull up on this side. I'll see if I can get that on camera for you. So I'm gonna come in here and marry then this one as well. Okay, so again, we just have a beautiful, beautiful pop from her ponytail. And then again, this third one here as well. So balayage is so much about how you're directing the hair in order to not get those like splotches that sometimes we see happen. Right? And it can get really frustrating being a balayage artist and feeling like, oh my gosh, like it's not saturating the way I want it to. You know, so just take your time, especially on these hairline ones. And when you're doing front to back and full saturation, it's much, much harder to do and achieve than just doing a saturation on the top. So if you're new to balayage, I always like to tell people, just do surface painting to start. Don't try to go front and back until you're a little bit more comfortable with the technique itself. Okay, I'm gonna set another one of these, set that just a little bit lower. And these are just little color film strips. You can even cut them if you find them bigger at any of the, I wanna say that these used to be sold in stores, but I actually don't think they are anymore, that I've been able to find. So I will go to the more like Michael's in the craft store and get that really hard cellophane, and then I just cut it into strips. So it works great for that. Okay, so that's how I would tackle this back kind of corner of a balayage section. Now, because I want to be able to get and have time to show you each of these, I'm going to move on from here. But typically then what I would do is go in and I would keep my triangle pattern up the head. So I'd do another triangle here and another kind of 2 zigzags here as I work through this panel. And this is what's keeping that just really, really effortless kind of blonding happening through here. And Jocelyn, I'm just gonna turn you here to camera. Perfect. So now we're gonna focus right here on this section as we kind of work through the back. And again, because I'm sticking with hairline, I'm keeping my 10 volume. But if I was gonna start working internally, her hair is getting so much thicker and denser as we move into kind of the more mid of her hair. So that's when, for me, I change my developers, okay? So now we're going in and we're gonna tackle this section right in here, okay? I really wanna make sure that I'm marrying together this whole hairline. So if this section is small, that's okay, okay? Because as we work up this head, we're gonna start going more on an angle like this as we work up. And so I really wanna make sure that I'm addressing every single section, right? It all needs detailed work, especially when you're balayaging. Balayage is tricky in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. If you guys are new to balayage, it is very tricky to get started. Once you get it started, then your techniques start to move so much faster through the hair. I'm gonna stay on top again here and lifting and keeping my tension nice and tight, but I'm keeping it high, almost at 90 degrees, but not quite. I'm going all the way up. And the other reason with Jocelyn's hair specifically that I'm taking this all the way up is because of how naturally light she is. Do you see how light her base is? Like, I said a level 7, but even in here on her hairline, I mean, she's got like naturally blonde highlights happening in here. If this was on a brunette, I wouldn't take this balayage as high, okay? So there are ways that you can tweak and address this on every client that you do. Okay, I'm gonna add just a little softness through here. I really want this hairline to pop. And this section here is thin enough for me to saturate both front and back. So you can see that, and I just kind of will marry that all together as I go. And I keep that lightener on the end of my brush, okay? That's where the main saturation is. So it's more like I have a pencil that I am like, it's like a sketch pad almost, right? That I'm kind of putting through there. And I go to the top of my paddle before I go in, and then I'm gonna place a little bit of lightener to help me hold. Now I can let go and draw that hair down because it is long, right? We got the extra long paddle here happening, making sure we get really good saturation. That's the other really big key with balayage. If you're getting frustrated that it's drying out and you're seeing splotchies and you're not getting the results that you want, it's a big part of that is going to be the consistency of your product, okay? And then also how much saturation you're getting on there. So take the time to do it nice and perfect the first time, just to make life a little bit easier. Okay, so here we go with our film. I'm gonna keep it to the back because if I were to place this forward, it's now gonna start affecting my front hairline. So I'm using just the edge of that, and I'm gonna set it to the back, okay? And I like the films too. They're just like the Saran, right? Where I can see right through. I'm making sure that the product is lifting and doing exactly what I want it to. Let's just check to make sure we're good in the comment section. If anyone has any questions, I tend to super, thank you. Here we go. So sorry, I missed the first couple of minutes. Oh, lightener. I am using the Joico, the new Balayage Lightener. 7 levels of lift. Okay, this is a clay-based formula, so it really stays put. And I like to mix this 1-to-1 with my ratio. For me, as a balayage artist, I like it to be a little bit more clay-like than not. And so that's really important if you do mix your lightener that way as well, that you make sure your saturation is just where you need it to be. Because otherwise, with a thicker product, and if it dries out quicker and you're not happy with your saturation, it's gonna be super frustrating, okay? This lightener, you can process up to 60 minutes, okay? So it is totally okay if you take your time while you put this on. Nothing's gonna happen or, you know, go wrong. Okay, so I'm slightly doing a little bit of a diagonal back, and you can see now, look, I just instantly built myself a triangle. You see that? And I'm not now gonna worry about painting on the other side. I'm only gonna do surface painting. And the reason for that is because this front section, that's what's gonna be my ponytail, right? That's gonna be that beautiful front piece that she'll have when she pulls up on her hairline. And now this is what's gonna help me instantly set that depth right behind there, okay? So I'm gonna just be over directing, okay? And I'm not standing where I should be. I should be standing in the front of her head at this point because I'm right-handed on this side. So I would technically be standing more at her shoulder, but for camera purposes, I'm trying to stay open for you guys so you can see this. Yeah, so does the Joico balayage, the lightener have the bonds for the damage protection? It does. This is a bond building lightener as well. I feel like most of Joico's stuff is now kind of been that way, and so they did the same thing with this lightener as well, which has been awesome. Okay, again, I'm taking this all the way up because her hair is so blonde, you guys, naturally. That's why I'm taking it this high up. I do not take it this high up on my brunettes, okay? Just being mindful of that. And I'm really trying to stay surface painting through here. I would rather start with less product on my brush and go back and add more than start with too much. So that's another thing if you're new to balayage, to remember that. Less is more for starting because it just gets a little hard to control if you feel like you have too much product on there. And then do your best to keep it on the tip and do your best to keep little product on there. I just go to my hands, and then again, Laura's little trick with my eraser if I feel like I need to keep more separation. You guys can see that hopefully. Now I'll go in with my palette, set it here, keeping that tension tight. Now I'm okay to put a lot more product on here, okay? And I'll kind of do that to help me then, it'll help rest on my paddle as I work down. Okay, I just sort of marry those two together a little bit. Then I try to keep it as straight as possible as I saturate the top. Okay, you can see I'm not loading the board with product because I'm not trying to go underneath this hair at this point. I'm really just trying to give a good surface pop to what's happening. And so that's the other thing, is making sure that you're keeping towels, okay, next to you as you work. A lot of times wet towels. Be wiping your boards, be wiping your hands as you work through. And then you can also be using, with shorter hair, you can use obviously a smaller paddle too if that's easier for you to kind of hold on to and to control. Okay, again, I'm gonna kind of set that back. And this is really just to help kind of protect my next layer that's coming down. I do feel like the product is, where you put it is where it stays, which is always great in this case, right? Okay, I'm gonna do one more section here, and then I wanna move to the front because I don't wanna keep you guys forever on this live. I really want you to be able to just kind of utilize these panels that I've shown you so far. You can really get so creative with balayage through the top. So whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you know, so Jocelyn has a lot of regrowth here, as you guys can see. So I want her to still feel effortless with her blonding now that we're going into summer. But she did go in and get a money piece, right? So she's got this hairline highlight. So my goal today now is to marry these two together. I'm not as focused right in here. I am gonna retouch her hairline for her, but I'm really focused on getting this now to blend in through here, right? She was able to get away with that for a while. It's a quick service we can offer our clients, which I love. But now that it's been so long, she really needs to have a couple kind of sprinkled in through here. So that's kind of what the goal and what the focus is, okay? So that's what's so cool about balayage, is you really can tweak it and make it exactly what you need the service to be. So let's do one more. I'm gonna diagonal back, and I will continue that same pattern. Now the reason, again, I'm diagonal backing here is because, right, I want my height to come here. I want my highest highlight to be here, and then I slowly want it to work down. So she's got a dropped grow out. Balayage, a big thing with balayage is that, at least for me in the salon, I tell people why we do this is for easy grow out, right? Yes, we can achieve this with foiling as well, but for some of this, I like to call it unicorn hair, where it's just like the perfect hair to paint on and get these results. That's kind of who I will use this technique for, and ensure them that this is still very good for your grow out, okay? So again, I'm going up in here high on that front, and knowing I'm gonna have a little buffer, right, with this depth, because I'm only surface painting. I'm not going to the other side. Keep that tension real tight as you go, and then little product on the ends of your brush, okay? I'll go high on the back side, and that's just sort of my pattern. I like to go the front of that section and the back of that section. Then I will kind of marry the two together. The only time that changes for me is when I move up the head of the hair. I'm not gonna take the back one as high. Okay, because at that point now I really only want this angle. But if you got to imagine where is this hair laying, okay? So as I work up the head, it's still okay to have dimension coming from underneath. But once I get up on her part line, I won't take that one as far up. Okay, that whole section will only come at a diagonal back. Okay, now I just slowly work these down so I kind of marry them all together. Make sure the saturation is really, really good on each of these. And by tilting your brush higher and sideways is where you're gonna get a thicker line or a thin line, right? When you need to be really, really precise, you're just moving that brush around. When I start to get into like bigger panels of hair, then I will also change my brushes and I'll use a bigger, wider brush. I can kind of show you guys that too. Another thing that, obviously, sorry you guys, I don't have an assistant so you can't see, but when I'm setting my tools down on my tray, I'm not putting the brush into the bowl of lightener, okay? I am just setting it next to the bowl. I don't want to go in and then just get this whole brush all covered in the lightener, okay? So just being very mindful that you're working very clean. Okay, this is a bigger panel in here. So I'll show you guys, I can switch to my bigger brush, right? And I can cover, this is maybe a little aggressive for this section, but I'm just gonna show you guys anyway. So you can see what I mean, how I'm really, really covering a good amount now. Okay, and it's clean on that other side of the panel because we wiped it off, so we're really just still gonna continue to surface paint. Now, if you wanna tip out everything in the front, by all means, you can do that. Jocelyn already has quite a bit of brightness around her face, so I really just don't need to do that much. Okay, if you feel like you need to do any softening through these sections, you kind of just go back through, do a little softening, and then I just gently lay that down. Okay, I'll grab another film strip, set that here. And then I'm just gonna check again. Let me check these comments, you guys, make sure we're good. There's not any serious questions I gotta address. We got that one. Oh, love that big comb that you're using. Yes, me too. I love like any tool that can help us work easier. At this point, you guys, I mean, I'm in 20 some years of hair and I am wearing, what are those called on your wrists? Compression sleeves on my wrist, you guys. It's like, at this point, we got to do whatever we can to help ourselves out. And you newer girls to doing hair, man, I thought it wasn't coming for me, but it comes for you. Comes for you real quick. So take care of your bodies, you guys. Drink water. Do all the things that we're supposed to be doing, okay? All right, so we're going to go through, and I want to kind of just show you guys how I would tackle through this front hairline. Then I will jump off so that you guys can get on with your days. But the biggest thing that I can say for doing any sort of hairline balayage, okay? Start, if you guys are new to this, start with, sorry, I'm gonna steal a clip from over here. Start with light hair, like Jocelyn. She's a perfect person to learn and practice on this level hair, okay? Because the last thing you want to do is stress yourself out with a brunette and feel like, oh my gosh, I just gave that hairline some orange splotchies or whatever it is, okay? So I'm going to ask my client to tilt her head and then tilt back towards me, Jocelyn. Perfect, okay? This isn't a long time. I mean, it is while I'm talking. Sorry, Jocelyn. But for your client at home, it's not a long time for them to hold like this. And it's just so, so helpful that you can get the right angle when you're going in and balayaging that hairline. Try to get those little babies pushed away, out of your way. We'll include them over here if need be. Okay, tight, tight tension. I'll start at the top. Again, I'm going to get these little guys out of here. I want this section to be as clean as possible. And I have that film behind me so to kind of help protect that back side. Okay, light product. I'm just going to go in here. And I'm really, at this point, just going to be artistic about where I want to put this placement. Okay, so I want to have some coming up right here on her hairline. Sorry if I'm in your guys' way. Hopefully my face isn't blocking you guys. Again, for those of you that just jumped on, my assistant got sick, and so I am winging this camera work on my own. I like to go a little heavy on the hairline. I'm not gonna lie. And by heavy, I mean I don't leave much in between. Very, very little. I want this to feel so soft and so natural when she drops her hair, when she pulls it into a ponytail. But what I do make sure is that I'm only surface painting, okay? We really wanna make sure we have depth behind this. I'm not trying to create anything super chunky. This is really just detail work. And she had a money piece done not that long ago, right, Jocelyn? It wasn't even, yeah. So not that long ago. So what I'm trying to do is break up that band that she had kind of happening. You guys actually, I feel like you can see it on camera pretty good. And you see this guy, I don't really like how that looks, so I'm gonna do that. You see that now? So I'm really just trying to marry these together. And I think maybe the only thing the camera is not picking up is that I almost have every little baby hair kind of into this part, okay? So all of this is already blonde. You see all this that she already had money piece-wise? So I'll just kind of feather into all of that and bring it back away from her face and just continue that down. Make sure the saturation feels good. And again, okay, without messing this up, I'll show you guys the back side. You see how she's gonna have that beautiful depth, and then this guy right behind there, right? In order to marry that all together. Now I'm just gonna kind of surface paint. I'm sticking with my smaller brush on this and surface painting, and I'm not gonna grab my paddle until I'm kind of comfortable in my hand to grab my paddle, if that makes sense. Okay, you guys do what works best for you. And I swear with my smaller hands, it just has been easier for me to do, kind of do it this way. So try both, try what works for you. Okay, we'll kind of take this all the way down. Again, she's so bright through here already. I'm not that concerned with really popping all of this. And then we'll just kind of gently set that down. Okay, and I like to keep it kind of back away from the face. Okay, so let me do this section really quick for you guys. Let's see, is there any questions on that hairline? Let me see if I can scroll back through. No, okay, so her end's getting over processed. I'm only using 10 volume. So what I'm doing essentially is kind of popping out old toner, or you know how our blondes get a little bit dull, but let me show you kind of through her ends. This is going to dry. Can you see that? It's gonna dry, so I'm not worried about that getting over processed in any way. If you're working on a brunette, I would recommend switching up your volumes, right? So you can use something stronger on her regrowth, then you can use other balayage levels for her ends too. Okay, so let's see if there's any other questions there, but I do want the really blended parts get too light and break. Okay, again, you guys, I'm using 10 volume on these little guys through here, and this I'm marrying together with already blonde, so it does not have to get that light, okay? So I don't ever get worried that even, I mean, you can go in here with 5 volume if you're not comfortable with, you know, but her hair is she's got beautiful, thick, strong hair. So no, but do I put that stuff into a foil? No. But you guys got to remember 10 volume and we're open air balayaging. I don't have to worry about this like heat hitting this. I don't have to worry about any other elements making this kind of over process, right? In any way, shape, or form. Now, here's the other thing. Technically, you guys, because I'm doing this on a live, I would have been starting all the way through the back before I even come to here. So the front really wouldn't sit long. Lives, we have to get very creative with our placement because I want to make sure that you're not sitting here with me for, you know, a full service process while I get through the entire head or anything gets too repetitive as I work. But you guys, I love that you're thinking of the health of the hair. It is so important that you are doing that exact thing, okay? And being mindful of that. Okay, so I'm gonna continue. I would do the same thing here. I'm really focusing on this, okay? You guys can see she doesn't have much of a band happening at all. She's so beautifully light through here. So it's really just connecting what she already has blonde. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. Then after this live, I process this, we rinse, and I do the full thing, and I will make sure I share my befores and my afters with you guys too. Let's see. Oh, the plastic sheet. So Jasmine, the plastic sheet is just kind of to keep it from going and moving anywhere else. A lot of people use saran. I just have found that these little sheets that I cut, they just make it easier for me, or like for anyone not working with an assistant. I just find it's easier to grab, and it helps me to move a little bit quicker, especially on these lives when I'm trying to, you know, manage it by myself and all that kind of stuff. Jocelyn, tilt back just a tiny bit for me. Perfect. Okay, you guys, I'm being mindful of hairline here, okay, and where I'm gonna set my first kind of piece that I want to pop, and then directly behind that, because I gotta remember, now I'm on her part line, okay? So where I place this piece is really where I wanna see that lightness happening. Now, because she's so blonde, you guys, I kinda have to hit these little pieces. It's like putting permanent color on someone and being afraid to hit the little spots. You kind of gotta incorporate it, you know? I think that if they were like white blonde, I wouldn't. But otherwise, I feel like she's gonna feel like she has a dark patch right here. And open air balayage at 10 volume. I'm feeling pretty good about that. To just go in there and gently, gently hit that. Once it's done processing, you guys, I will rinse it. I don't let anything sit, and that's true for a foil as well. I never get through a full head of highlights before I pull a section. It just never happens. I always end up, because when I foil, I typically start in the front. So I always end up pulling out that hairline before I'm done foiling the whole head. Okay, I'm just going through and kind of marrying the back of this. And you could use your glove hand at this point if you want to just kind of pull that through too, because I really just have the little tips now to hit there. And again, 10 volume, being ever so gentle. And then we'll kind of set that down over the film as well. Okay, you guys, so that's how I tackle the entire hairline. Again, balayage is something that you have to keep working at in order to get comfortable with your sectioning and your placement and how you're holding everything. So I will go ahead and let me see if there's any other questions. You can't wait to see the results. Yay! I'm so excited, Haley. Thank you for being on here. And this too, you guys, I always try to make these, let me pull this off of here. I always try to make these into a video if possible for you too, to help it to be easier to follow along as well. So I am going to get Jocelyn all finished up. I love that you guys were here with me today. Patty, what do you do to the process when you pull the foils out? Okay, so before being done. Oh, you're talking about when I'm doing the foiling work. So I use a big Tangle Teaser type comb, and I put a little bit of the K-Pack leave-in spray, and I spray through, and I just pull those down, because when it's at its air temperature and it has a little bit of moisture in there with the K-Pack spray, it'll stop the lightening process. And if you feel like it still isn't stopping for some reason, you can go in with a wet towel. But I literally do that on every single client. I like to start in the front. I like that to feel like the brightest possible. So I always start in the front on a brunette, a blonde, everything. And then I just pull it out with a towel. And usually my assistant helps me do that as well. So